trouble, time for a bit of Jim Does Supercoach AFL round 22. That's right, round 22's done. How did you go? Did you have the C on Izak Rankine like I told you last week? I hope you did, because he was good. How good, Jim? Real bloody good. 223. Yeesh. Anyway, it was a big week. How did I end up going? Not bad, actually, it turns out. Saw my overall ranking rise 2,893 spots to 8,116 overall. I don't mind that. That's a big jump at this point of the season. Thank you, Isaac. Scoring a 2,497 for the week, which is in the top 4%, which is pretty good. Would have liked a couple of the other guys to step up, but I'll tell you what, look, you'll take the Rankine, but geez, my backline was an absolute shocker this week. Naz goes out injured, he scores 10. Brutal. Outside of that, though, the only one that gets over the ton is Callum Mills with 107. Cal Wilkie, shocking, 39. 74 for Ash, 65 for James Sicily. He hates Tassie, it's Sicily. Dan Houston, the contender for worst trade-in of the season, with 83 as well. Yeah, just all over the shop. None of this was good. It was horrible. I would like to thank Errol Goulden for being good, 134, one of the best trade-ins of the season, flip side. Luke Jackson, 149, not bad, good size. 155, nice pod, Lockie Neal. So who scored awesomely this week? If we look across this, across the entire AFL, you got the 223 for Rankine. Matt Rao was absolutely incredible, 174. If you were one of the 9.6% of coaches who have him in your team, you're laughing. And Bailey Smith, Basilenka, 161. He was huge. Great game. Took with the 157. Thank you, Took Miller, for actually showing up finally. LDU with 156 as well. He was great. Lockie Neal, 155. Luke Jackson, 149. Jace Burgine, 139. Errol, 134. Gosh, he's good. 134 for my beloved Francesco Evans. Nick Dacos, Nakos, and Will Ashcroft, 132. Same as Ollie Florent. He's been good. Darcy Cameron, 129. Same as Kai Lohman. So, some pretty good scores this week, but obviously the big ones that we're going to deal with this week are injuries. So Naz goes down against the Blues. That leaves a pretty big hole for, the vast majority of super coaches. He's already been traded out by like the 8,443 remaining coaches who had him and had a trade remaining. He was in over 50% of teams, so yeah, not great. But otherwise, I mean, you've got the sort of qualms and queries we've got at the moment. It's not just Naz. Tinglish, if you've got Tim English, he's done for the year, it looks like. Jason Horne-Francis has got a bit of bone bruise in his knee, so hopefully he's good to go on Friday night against, not Friday night, that's Adelaide and Freo, isn't it? Because Murphy Reid is also battling groin soreness, so he might not play Adelaide on Friday. Horne-Francis, they play Melbourne on Saturday, that's what I'm trying to say. He's going to be a test, so fingers crossed he's good to go. The other one is to keep an eye on is TDK. He might be a bit TD cooked after that game against the Blues the other day. Hurt his shoulder, had a bit of a stinger, obviously feeling the pain of those broken ribs at some point. If you've got Rowan Marshall, good on you. Looks like he'll solo ruck for the next couple of rounds, I would say. And you've also got, no Mason Wood. Bobby Hill at least dodges the bullet where he goes down, looks like he's done his knee, and you'd be staring at down the barrel of, if you had conceivably Naz, Bobby Hill, Cal Wilkie, you're just like, oh God, this is horrible. But Bobby Hill at least came back and isn't even on the injury list. So that's pretty nice, I guess. But Tinglish looks like he's basically done for the regular season, so a bit of a weird one. Not great. So if we look at who's the most traded out, then we'll get into the looking ahead for this week ahead for you. Most traded is obviously Naz, 8,000 trades. Jason Horne-Francis, Petrarca, who's just been horrible. Lockie McAndrew, sure. Marcus Herbert, Hugo Hawker-Hahn, Wayne Millera. That is one of the toughest ones. I'll get to that in a second. These defenders, it's shocking. Max Holmes, Finn Callahan, and Tim English are the most traded out. Traded in, that's a lot of Lockie Whitfield because he's one of the few remaining defenders still bloody standing. And same goes for Jake Bowie. He's been awesome for the Ds. Errol, Izak Rankine, Chad Chudley-Warner, Nick Blakey, the Lizard, Basilenka, Will Ashcroft, Ollie Florent, and Luke Parker. Ollie Florent, 385 trades in. It's a nice little pod. Luke Parker as well. Pretty good, but I mean, this is the biggest thing. Sort of, if you look at this week, before we get to replacements for Naz, I mean, if you just literally look at essentially the top 6 defenders, top 7 defenders, 6 of them are injured, I think. It's just insane. Max Holmes, Naz, Jack Sinclair, Bailey Dale, Wayne Milera. Brutal. And, on top of that, there's even more injuries. Nick Newman. Braden Maynard. It's crazy, isn't it? Connor Rozee, if you think about your starting price. If you look at the highest priced ones, I think it is literally Naz is he's most expensive. He's out. Connor Rozee, Max Holmes, Bailey Dale, Jake Bowie. He's the only one standing out of the top 7 most expensive defenders this year. That is absolutely crazy. The Supercoach gods have really got it in for us this year. And it does sort of bring up the idea, I mean, do we need sort of maybe not unlimited trades, but getting very close to 2 per week. I don't know. Bit of a weird one. I'm not really convinced either way, but still, this has been a brutal Supercoach year. So what do you do if you want to replace Naz? Well, if you look at the sort of trade in, trades out, Lockie Whitfield's the obvious one. Jake Bowie, though, I really, really like the way Melbourne are playing, especially the way he's playing. If you want to go for a bit more of a pod, Blakey, the Lizard, if you can switch it around, you can get to Basalenka. I love his little run home. That'd be my picks, I reckon. But what do we got for this week? What are the actual games? We've got Freo and Adelaide on Friday night. Luke Jackson versus Lockie McAndrew, but Freo at home, you love that. So fingers crossed for a big Caleb Sarong game. You've got Andy Brayshaw, Rankin on one end, Shai Bolton up the other. That is a great game for not just footy, but Supercoach. So look, fingers crossed, Luke Jackson at home against Adelaide should be pretty nice. If you look at Luke Jackson's last few against the Crom, 126, 98, 107. So yeah, probably not the VC this week for Luke Jackson, but he's been good. He was awesome this week. Then we've got Richmond St Kilda. With no Naz, hopefully Cal Wilkie can step up. Bobby Hill, you love to see him carve it up. Richmond, if you listen to Jack Rewalt, a bloke who's probably signed a couple of concussion waivers in his time, I'll tell you what, Richmond's dynasty is right there in the likes of Sam Grill. Yeah, they might win this game. The Saints are horrible. North, Geelong later on. That's a pretty interesting game too. Shees and Cherry. This is at Marvel, so it'll be interesting to see how Cherry goes against Geelong. The Cats, obviously, Basalenka, no Maxi Holmes. And the rest of the Cats, it's always a very hit and miss kind of proposition, especially at Marvel, so I wouldn't trust too many of the other ones. But Shees, LDU, Cherry should still probably eat, especially considering it's a Marvel. Same goes for the Lions versus the Suns at the Gabba. Think about Lachie Neale and Will Ashcroft. They should go absolutely ham against this very, very soft Suns team. But Johnny Noble, Bodie Hewland, you think about Took Miller and Matty Rowell. They've at least Noah Anderson as well. The Suns have been not bad. The big win this week against GWS. So in a Q clash, I actually have a little bit of faith in most of them this week. Hawthorn Collingwood, big Saturday night game. This is going to be awesome this Saturday. You think about the Hawks, Impey and Co. Mitch Lewis is back, firing. The Pies, Nakos. It's going to be interesting to see how much the Pies sort of can put aside the Butters chatter and actually just go out and beat Hawthorn. Can they do it? Maybe. We'll see what they can do. But Sicily and Co., I feel pretty good about this one for being a decent Supercoach game. If you think about, Dacos against the Hawks, Dacos against the Pies. He only had 103 the start of this year, 99 as well last year, 116. So he's not exactly lighting them on fire, is he? It's a bit of negating the Hawks. So, yeah, it's an interesting matchup. Then you got Port Adelaide, Melbourne. So, Cozzy and Gawn and Co. up against JHF. Jordan Sweet? I don't know. But this is at the Adelaide Oval. So, it's always really weird and tricky to sort of, trust the Demons to show up away from home. So, as tasty as that matchup was for Sydney this week against Port, I don't feel great about throwing the VC or the C on Cozzy just yet. GWS West Coast is an interesting. You've got Clary Oliver. I'm just saying, I'd throw it on him. Whitfield and Ash should probably carve it up, but they're at NG up against the Eagles. The Eagles were surprisingly awesome against Collingwood. Let's see if they can back it up. I think GWS will get them, but yeah, it's a bit of a tough one in terms of some of your Supercoach scoring. The Dogs Carlton game is fascinating. Bont, will probably do pretty well against the Blues. But the flip side is so should Sam Walsh and Cripps and friend Frankie Evans. Ollie Florence been pretty good. The rest of the Dogs, I don't know, just a bit of a weird one. The big one that I'm looking at this week is Essendon Sydney. So if you've got any of the Bombers, good on you. But the Swans, hopefully this is a big one. I might be keeping the seat. So Brodie Grundy misses this week due to personal reasons. He had his kid during the week. So good on you, Brodie. That's awesome. Congrats. But I'd be maybe looking at having the C on Woe Errol on Sunday afternoon at the MCG. Could put up a huge score against the Bomb Rays. So I think that's where I'm going to land. So my VCC picks for this week. Some of these matchups, they're not as tasty as some of the other ones. We might want to go with like a VC on the Freo Adelaide Friday night game. But really, Shees versus Geelong, unless they throw Oisin Mullen on him, maybe he carves it up. So I don't know, maybe a bit of a dart throw at Cherry if he can dominate Geelong. Cherry does love a bit of marble, doesn't he? How's he gone against Geelong the last few? 165 earlier this year, 151 the time before that. Just saying. So, at Marvel, I might have the VC on Cherry, I think, this week up against the Cats. That ruck sort of battle is always sort of slew towards Geelong's opponents, and then I'll probably throw the big C the end of the week on Woe Errol Goulden. So, yeah. But there you go. With no trades left, like this is where I'm sort of at, and I think this is where a lot of us are at as well. There's not too many trades floating around, and if you look at the most traded in, like which literally, Naz, 8,000 trades. Considering he's in half the teams, for 8,000 folks to still have a trade left to trade him out, that's probably folks' second last trade at the very most, I'd say. So cool. Yeah, I wish I had like one or two, but again, this is the game we play. And as I said, out of the top 7 most highly priced defenders, 6 of them are out now. That's crazy, isn't it? So there we go. That's what we reckon for this week. Look, hopefully we keep those green arrows pointing up. It'd be interesting to see how Rankine backs up that game against Freo. But just trying to figure out like who could have come up with another 223. And it is interesting to see people moan and whinge about like, oh, how did he even score that? It wasn't even as good as Rao's game or whatever. It's like, well, the thing is those points have to go somewhere. And considering everybody else was butchering it and he was pretty good, it's funny to see him just keep cleaning up. So good on him. But anyway, look, fingers crossed Horn Francis gets up. But my team at the moment, Naz comes off for me. Hugo Hall-Kahan goes onto the field. Still got Herbert and Fitzgerald on my bench in the mids. Campbell Lake is the emergency in case Horn Francis doesn't go, which is okay. They do play on Saturday. He played this week and looked pretty good against the Blues. Only managed to 36, but he's okay on my bench. So yeah, feeling okay about that. So here's to a big week, I guess. And that's it for the round 22 AFL SuperCoach wrap. Remember, AFL SuperCoach finals are here as well. So you get unlimited trades, all that sort of fun stuff. It's going to be interesting. I probably won't do shows for that because we are gearing up for NFL. Fingers crossed we get NFL SuperCoach very, very soon because I'll tell you what, considering I finished 26th overall this, in the inaugural season, I can't wait to get stuck back into that too. So let's get back to NFL. It starts in a month. Let's go. Open up the team picker. You're killing me. Anyway, so we'll be playing AFL finals, but we, probably won't be doing shows about it because it is a weird product, isn't it? But that's it. So here's to a big round 23. Hope you're pointing in the right direction. Hope you're still in your leagues. I think I got knocked out first week of finals in both the ones that I actually pay attention to, which sucks, but still gunning for the overall points. So fingers crossed we get there. All right, until next week, this has been Jim Does Supercoach. Here's to a big round 23. Happy super coaching.